This visit by Mohammed bin Salman comes as he's been on something of a winning streak of late. He's been courted from all sides. Emmanuel Macron could have met with him at another time. I mean, after all, he's here for a week, Mohammed bin Salman.
Yeah, and I think Mohammed bin Salman is in France mainly to promote the candidacy of his country for the Universal Exhibition of 2030 in Saudi Arabia. Next week in Paris, there will be a world summit for the to finance the ecological transition. So Mohammed bin Salman wants to enjoy the presence of many leaders from Africa mainly, in order to get their support. The vote for the Universal Exhibition will take place in November, but it's a file that MBS, as we call him, is following personally. So this is the main reason of his long presence in Paris. Of course, he's going to meet Emmanuel Macron tomorrow. They met already last year around in July in Paris. There are different topics on the agenda: Ukraine, Lebanon, etc. But it's a kind of public relation operation for Mohammed bin Salman. You know, was a pariah 5 years ago after the horrible Jamal Khashoggi assassination. But as you said, he's an international actor now. Nobody can avoid him. Joe Biden met him recently in Jeddah. Mohammed bin Salman is intervening between Ukraine and Russia to get released some prisoners. He makes a rapprochement with Iran recently. So whether you like it or not, you can't avoid meeting Mohammed bin Salman now.
Can't avoid meeting him now. A couple of the points that you mentioned there. First of all, 2030, the Universal Expo, as you mentioned. Also, Saudi Arabia wants to co-host the World Cup that year. So there's a lot of lobbying to be done.
Exactly. And this year, 2030, is a very important year for Saudi Arabia, and especially for Mohammed bin Salman, because, as you know, he launched his vision, his plan of reform, economical, society, etc., with a term in 2030. So if he gets the Universal Exhibition 2030, it will be a big victory for Saudi Arabia. His Vision 2030 is really his main goal internally. You know, there is a true revolution in Saudi Arabia. I went there 2 months ago to work. It's not so easy to get there as a journalist. You know, when you see now girls driving, but not only driving, you know, having fun without their abaya, working, they can get divorced now, they can work, they can get outside the country. So there is a real social revolution. There is also many investment in this Vision 2030. So he is changing the face of Saudi Arabia. Of course, this is I would say the good face of Mohammed bin Salman. There is another face, less attractive. He's an autocrat. He's a Saudi justice. He's sending in jail, you know, bloggers or young girls who wrote a very insignificant tweet. So, but he is.
Has he managed to brand himself? So you mentioned since the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. I mean, we saw Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, there for 3 days.
Exactly.
We saw that he was the kingmaker when it came to that OPEC Plus meeting.
Exactly. Yeah. He is now, of course, there was Khashoggi, but now Macron went there once, Johnson went there, Biden went there, MBS came to Paris last year. He is an actor in the Ukraine-Russian war. He is an actor now in the Middle East with his rapprochement with Iran. He's an actor with Israel. And, you know, the realpolitik has taken the lead now. So MBS can't be avoided.
Can't be avoided. But he can be criticized. Let's listen to the head of Amnesty International in this country.
على أيديولوجية متطرفة We can see now that he's on a diplomatic offensive, and finally the states are starting to forget a little about what happened in that embassy in Turkey and are rolling out the red carpet for this murderer. There's no other word for it. There's the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, but there's also a human rights situation that's being violated on a massive scale in Saudi Arabia, and that's why we are deeply shocked by this visit.
Readers of Le Figaro, what do they make of this visit? Are they wondering what Macron's going to get out of it? Are they outraged by the human rights aspect?
No, I think not anymore, I guess, because there is this aspect of the reality which can't be denied, that Saudi Arabia is a very important country, not only on the oil market, but also diplomatically now. We used to have Saudi Arabia as a strategic ally with the United States. Now, under the Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia has, I'm used to say that, multiple wives. They still have the US wife, but not only. They have the Chinese wife now, because China is their first client, the first country where they sell their oil. They have Russian wife, they have European wives, but not anymore like it used to be.
You say Russian wife, and it's true that Russia's a member of OPEC Plus, and they agree they're going to curtail a bit more production. The Russians weren't always agreeing on that at that meeting in Vienna recently. However, what do you make then of the fact that here you had this Arab League summit hosted by Mohammed bin Salman, and who shows up? Volodymyr Zelensky.
Yeah, because he wanted to balance, I guess, this image. He was criticized, not only him, but most of the country in the Gulf, by not having criticized Russia, etc. So he wanted to balance his image. But Mohammed bin Salman is not aligned with the US or with Europe, not anymore. And he wants to have a margin of maneuver in the Middle East. And I will not be surprised if in a few months or years he will try to make peace with Israel, but not a peace, bilateral peace, but probably to have a new version of the King Abdullah peace plan of 22,000.
You mentioned that thaw in relations with Iran, the two big proxies, Saudi Arabia and Iran, when it comes to politics in Lebanon, which once again are broken these days. Right now, they're trying to elect a president. It's not working.
No.
France and Saudi Arabia, how aligned are they right now on this?
But, Saudi Arabia has been fed up with Lebanon. And MBS told, frankly, to Emmanuel Macron last year in Abu Dhabi, we are fed up with Lebanon. We supported in the past the Sunni Prime Minister, Rafik Hariri, his son, Saad Hariri, but we invested a lot of money there. And they criticize the Sunni to be necessarily...
Are you saying Macron cares more about Lebanon these days than Saudi Arabia?
No, of course, because Lebanon is our only country where we still have a piece of influence in the Middle East. But for Saudi Arabia, Lebanon is not anymore an important country. Mohammed bin Salman, I guess, never went to Lebanon. The previous Saudi leaders used to go for vacation to Beirut, etc. It's over this time. Now they prefer to go to Ankara or to Europe. So, voilà, but Emmanuel Macron, Saudi Arabia is still important for in Lebanon, because they are the supporters of the Sunni, we are the supporter of the Christians, and we have Iran, supporters of the Shia. So to have a new elected president, will have to have an agreement between these three minimum, plus the United States countries. So, of course, Lebanon will be at the menu of the lunch tomorrow between Mohammed bin Salman and Emmanuel Macron. But there is a fatigue in Saudi Arabia concerning Lebanon.
It won't be a top of the menu. Many thanks, Georges Malbrunot, for joining us here on France 24.